So here's where we start uncovering the shadow. And there's a picture here of somebody digging into the dirt, right? So the reason for that is because remember, the shadow is sort of underground or under the conscious mind. It is not in the purview of the ego, and the ego wants to keep it outside of its sphere of knowledge. It just wants to keep it in the ground, doesn't want you to dig it up. But as somebody that is dedicated to your own self-knowledge, this is where you can start doing the digging. You want to describe what it is about this person or the situation that is triggering you. And if you can do that in a word or a short phrase, it would be beneficial. So you write it down. This is a perfect opportunity for a journaling practice. And if you don't already journal, I will highly encourage everyone here to actually take the time to journal if you are interested in self-knowledge. Okay. So this is a perfect journaling opportunity. What is it about this person or situation that is triggering me? And remember, you may not necessarily be able to do all of this at the very point in time when you're triggered. Maybe you're triggered in traffic when somebody cuts you off, or in the line at the grocery store. Maybe you don't have your journal then, but you can go back home, and before you go to bed at night, you take out your pen and your journal, and this is an opportunity for some self-reflection. So you want to ask yourself, now that you've written down in a word or phrase what it is that's triggering you, ask yourself, what is so bad about this trait? And you really want to be honest. What is so bad about it? Keep probing. Ask yourself the question, okay, so if it was that somebody was selfish, right? And that triggered you, that made you feel really, really agitated that this person acted in such a selfish manner, and you wrote down selfish as the thing that triggered you. Ask yourself the question, what is so bad about being selfish? And you really, really want to keep probing. You want to get to the bottom. You want to go further down and down and down, and you want to get to the underlying fear that you have about being perceived in this way. Remember, this is not because this person is selfish that you're getting triggered. This person may not even be selfish, but you perceive them as such, and therefore you are triggered, and therefore this is something in you that you need to own. And so get clear on why you don't want to be seen as being selfish. Really start probing. Well, selfish people don't get, X, Y, and Z. This happens to selfish people. Maybe they lose their friends. So what's so bad about losing friends? Keep going. Well, if you lose your friends, you're not going to have anybody in your life. What's so bad about that? Well, if you don't have people in your life, then when times get tough, you left to fend for yourself. You end up dying on your own, and there's nobody in your life. So what you really want to do is you really want to get to the bottom of why is it so bad to have this trait or exhibit this trait. So understand this, understand that at some point you were made, not necessarily purposefully, but you were made maybe by your own perceptions to feel like this would happen to you if you exhibited this particular quality. So if you growing up were made to feel that selfishness was really bad, your parents really laid it on you when you were selfish, or they really made you feel like something was wrong with you or bad, you may have tried to really repress any semblance of selfishness in your life, and you want to be really completely selfless. And so you really have pushed that away to the point where you become annoyed with other people when they exhibit that trait. So you really want now to start thinking about, how do you avoid being that way in your life? Chances are, if you're annoyed by that person's trait, you can also look at your life and look at all the ways in which you purposefully try to avoid being that way, or maybe unconsciously avoid being that way. And you want to really recognize that the reason for this emotional charge is because of the fact that, like I said, you on a certain level fear being perceived in this light. And this is a really, really important thing. Once you've really gotten to the bottom of the fear about that trait, what it is that about that trait that you fear having others perceive you as that way, right? Recognize that this is something within you, and ask yourself this question: what would open up for me if I did not fear being perceived in this way? Not necessarily that you have to become selfish, okay? But what would open up for me if I did not fear being perceived as selfish? And remember, I'm using selfish as just a placeholder or as an example. This could be any trait, okay? This is a great opportunity for journaling. List it. What are all the things that will open up for you if you did not have a fear of being perceived as selfish or as whatever it is that's triggering you? List those opportunities that will open up for you in your relationships, in your career, in your personal life, as it pertains to different facets of life. Because I guarantee you that if you feel stuck in your life, I guarantee you, if you are feeling like success is being withheld from you and you are unsatisfied with where you are, then it's because of the fact that you are not allowing yourself to be authentic. And part of your authenticity is reclaiming those shadow aspects of yourself. When you are able to reclaim them and rebrand them, maybe you don't have to brand it as selfish, but selfishness could be a good thing. There is a point at which people need to be selfish. You need to be able to look out for yourself, because if you don't, you'll be a doormat.